Okay, so now we're going to look at another technique, and this is finding high and low values in an array. And we have our gelato example again. We have parallel arrays with the flavor names in one array and then corresponding calories in a second array. So two parallel arrays, and we're simply looping through the data and displaying the flavors and the calories just like we did several videos ago. But then there's a new technique in here, and we're going to find the highest calorie and the lowest calorie options. In case somebody is watching what they eat, they might want to know that information. So I've coded a separate loop. We could do this using the same loop, but I'd like to just keep things simple and just code a separate loop for this technique. So I'm going to loop through the calories array, basically, and because we're interested in high and low calories. So I have these two variables here, which are, you know, I think maybe I'll move this out. I'm going to shift this out and just focus on the highest calorie option. So our person, for example, who's watching their weight knows to avoid that option. So let's just focus on the highest calorie. And then the lowest is going to be easy. It's basically just kind of flipping the sign around the greater than less sign. So we have the highest index, and we're starting it at 0. Okay, the index of the highest calorie option, I'm going to set it to 0. Okay, because you have to start somewhere. So let's just say that the first item, the mango at 200 calories, is the highest that's where we're starting. It's not, but we've got to start somewhere. So we're starting with the mango. We're saying this is the highest option. And so that becomes like the one to beat, all right? So we're going to loop through the array, and for every element we're saying, okay, if the loop counter is X in this case, we're saying, okay, if the one I'm looking at is higher than the one in the highest index, the current one to beat, if the one I'm looking at currently is higher in calories than the one to beat, which can be pulled out of the calories array with the highest and the current running highest index, then the highest index becomes the current one I'm looking at. It's really just a very quick little logical move that you're doing, and that's it. That is it. That's going to isolate the highest index. So again, starting the highest index at 0, because we have to start somewhere, looping through the array. For every element we're saying, okay, if the current one I'm looking at is higher in calories than the current front runner, which I can access with that highest index, then the highest index becomes the current one I'm looking at, the index of the current one I'm looking at. That's it, okay? So the, as you might imagine, the lowest index would be very similar, almost identical. Going to get a lowest index in here, starting it at 0, and then I'm going to put something, as I said, almost identical, but the sign is flipped. Okay, obviously the variable names are changed to lowest, but the mechanism is exactly the same. So as I'm looping through these calories, if the current calories I'm looking at are lower than the current front runner, the one to beat, which I can access with this lowest index variable, then the lowest index becomes the index of the current one I'm looking at. Okay, so I think the, I don't know, one of the fruit ones, mango or raspberry, are going to end up being, yeah, no, mango is the lowest. The highest is going to be this one, I believe, is the peanut butter. So let's run it. I just have a couple of cout statements at the end and saying the highest calorie gelato flavor is, once I have that highest index, I reach right into that flavors array and get the flavor name peanut butter at a whopping this number of calories, reaching into the calories array. Once I have those indexes, the highest and the lowest, I can go straight into those arrays at those locations and grab the data out of there. So, and then for a low-calorie alternative, you can try the mango. This is going to be, again, reaching in with the lowest index that's been established, reaching into the calories with the lowest index to get the 200 calories. So let's run it. We'll see how it works. Okay, so this, the full data, that was from the first loop, not the one that I was talking about most with the isolating the highest and lowest. I had a separate loop to isolate the highest and the lowest, and then you can see the results. We did get the peanut butter at 360 calories, and then the mango for 200 calories, so we know that those algorithms worked.